Can you walk us through your day last Wednesday? So that was the day where the league officially decided to shut down.
Yeah, man. So first of all, before we ever got to the arena, they had announced that the Nets and the Warriors were going to play the next night with no fans. And, in talking with guys, we were all very curious to see how that game was going to look on television and what that viewing experience was going to be like. In talking to our head trainer, Aaron Nelson, and some people in our front office, it became like apparent that if there was a positive test for an NBA player, that it was inevitable they were going to shut the league down. And that was like one positive test, we're shutting the league down. So we're at the arena. There was probably, somewhere around like 60 or 70 on the clock. I can't remember the exact time on the clock, but we meet at 38 on the countdown clock. We're a nationally televised game. So the other ESPN game was on in the locker room, and all of a sudden it flips to whatever's going on with OKC Jazz. And there's, the byline of, there's a player quarantine or they're testing a player. And then it comes out a few minutes later that it's Rudy Gobert. He's tested positive. And I was standing next to our PR guy and Will, and within like 3 minutes, he had a memo from the league that the league had been suspended. So at this point, there's like, 50, 45 on the clock. We're getting ready to do our meeting, and they're telling us we have to play that night, that all games are suspended except for those games that night. I think for most guys, it was a little surreal. We're watching like a team doctor sprint across the floor, stop a game just as you're getting ready to tip it off. And we ended up at 38 having a normal meeting. Alvin said a few things. Let's go out and play. But you could tell like we were all shook, man. It was a weird feeling for sure. And then, we finish our meeting at 25 on the clock. At about 20 on the clock, like we're all just kind of sitting there. Nobody's really like that anxious to go out on the court. There's 20,000 fans out there. I think we're all now, whereas even 2 or 3 days prior, we're all now sort of grasping the severity of this virus and the seriousness of this virus that maybe we didn't quite get a week prior. And the league had been good about, providing guidance, and the teams were meeting with us and giving us information. But, that's when it became very serious. And then we're getting ready to go out finally to the hallway to do our prayer, go out for warmups. And Aaron Nelson sprints through the locker room to try to find David Griffin. And that's when we found out Courtney Kirkland had ref the Jazz game. So then we were having a conversation in the locker room, like, I don't think it's safe to play. No one felt like it was safe to play. Had the NBA made us play, we would have hooped. But I know a lot of guys expressed concern that they didn't feel like it was safe to go out and play. Not just for us, but for anybody that was in that arena that night.
Did you or anyone, like, were you guys in contact with anybody from the outside world while this was happening? Like, were you getting texts or calls or anything?
No, I mean, I was texting with my family, I guess, Chelsea and some close friends, and then my brother and parents and sisters and stuff like that. I texted CP later that night, probably an hour or two after, we had left the arena, and he had either just left the arena or was just getting ready to leave the arena, had been tested, but they had said he could go home.
Did they test you guys?
No, they didn't test us. I don't think there was a reason to test us. From what I know, there's no link, from our team and our traveling party to sort of any of the other teams that have had positive tests so far. But yeah, so, we left, we were supposed to go to Utah. Utah was our next game. Right. And we were supposed to go to Utah that night. We ended up, we had to wait till 11 p.m., but we took the red eye back to New Orleans. Thursday was kind of a nothing day. Friday we came in and met, and by this time Friday, you're realizing across the country like this is getting pretty serious. And by Sunday, I think pretty much everyone in the country that has been following this realizes like there's the definitive need for isolation and social distancing and a little bit of self quarantining if you're feeling symptoms and all that. And I think everybody sort of gets this. I mean, you and I talked a bunch over the last few days. I know you're taking this very seriously.
I do think that the time that everybody, when I say everybody, I mean the vast majority of the country, really started to take it seriously was last Wednesday when they canceled the season. Last Wednesday was like, I mean, there'll be documentaries about that day in particular, because between the league saying the season is between Rudy testing positive, the league saying the season is canceled, the president giving a speech which dropped the markets like an historic amount the second he started talking. And then I think March Madness was the following morning. But I do think that people started to figure it out when stuff started getting canceled.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a much different conversation when it's like, oh, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Please stay inside. Versus, oh no, this $1 billion basketball tournament, which happens every year and is sort of the highlight of everybody's March, it doesn't exist. It's gone. Like it's not happening. Not only are our fans not going, like nobody is. It's not happening in any way.
It's like It's like the entire country having Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas canceled.